Hello everyone, today we're looking at box plots. Let's read through it. A box plot or box and whisker plot displays the quartiles of a set of data and the lowest and highest scores, low and upper extremes. So this is a good diagram here. You've got absolute lowest score, absolute highest score. You've got Q1, Q2 and Q3. So last lesson we looked at this bit here. Okay. The box here represents the middle 50% of scores and the interquartile range, which was last lesson, while the whiskers represent the lowest and the highest 25% of scores. Now obviously outliers would occur either here or here, which we discussed last lesson. Okay, here's another diagram here. So down here is my lowest score. I'm going to write that down. So lowest extreme or lowest score. Highest score is up here. This is Q1, this is Q2, which is the median, and this is Q3. Now you might be thinking, hold on, this is not centralized, and that's okay. In a perfect world, it will be centralized, but if this is towards one side, you know it's skewed data. So yeah, this can be in different parts. It could be here, could be here, could be here. Every question is different. I would, if you haven't already, get this all down, because it's quite important, especially with diagrams, because you're looking at where all the different things are. Now, one more concept is the 5-figure summary, which is pretty much your numbers, and the box and whisker plot is a picture of that. So you've got the lowest score, the lower quartile, Q1, Q2, Q3, and then the highest score. So for example, if I had, say, I'm going to make this up, 8, 10, 15, 17, 19, this would mean that this is my lowest score, this is my highest score, this is Q1, this is Q2, this is Q3. So you would draw a box and whisker plot to suit these numbers. So a really bad one I might just do really quickly. So let's go from 8 up to say 20. Let's make it a little scale. Let's go up by say 2s. Oh, that'll do. Okay, so then you're gonna put this stuff down. Won't be perfect, but this would be a general box and whisker plot if that was my 5-figure summary. Okay, so 5-figure summary is the numbers, box and whisker plot is the actual picture of those 5 things. Lowest, Q1, Q2, Q3, highest. Okay, time for a question. The numbers of hours per week that Nick worked at the Big Chicken over summer were, here they are. So part A, find a 5-figure summary for this data. Then part B, represent this on a box and whisker plot. Step 1, arrange it from lowest to highest. So do that for me, please. Okay, it is 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, 7, 7, 8, 8, 8, 10, 12, 15. And there are also 13 numbers, so 13 scores. Okay, just like last lesson, let's start by finding Q2. So remember, 13 scores, 13 is odd, which means there's an exact center. 13 divided by 2 is 6.5, which means the 7th number is my middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My middle is right there. Let's circle it. That's my Q2. Now I want the middle of that and the middle of that. And the middle of this, there are 6 numbers, which means the middle is my 3.5 number. So my middle is right here, which is going to be 4.5. Because you can see it's between 4 and 5. Now my middle of this is going to be right here, and that's going to be 9. Okay. And Q2 is 7. Just to write the working out as well, so Q1 equals 4 plus 5 over 2, which is 4.5, and Q3 equals 8 plus 10 over 2, which is 9. Now another cool way of checking if you're correct or not is that between each one of these there's the same number of numbers. See how there's 3 here, there's 3 here, they're 3 here, and they're 3 here. So if these are all the same number of numbers, you know your increments or your places here are correct. Okay, now let's answer the question. So part A, 5-figure summary. Remember, we want 5 things. We want the lowest, we want Q1, Q2, Q3, then the highest. So lowest is 3, Q1 is 4.5, Q2 is a median, which is 7, Q3 is 9, and the highest is 15. So that is my 5-figure summary for this set of numbers here, these set of numbers. Now part B, we're going to draw this onto a box and whisker plot. Now if you have a ruler, that would be great if you got it out. Make sure we're starting out nice and clear. Now you can see we're going from 3 to 15, so what I might do, I might go from, say, we'll start from 0, so I'll just draw a line. Let's start from 0 and go up to, say, 20. Okay, now try to pick a scale and stick to that scale. I might go up by, say, 4s. So equal increments is important, so 4, 8, 12, 16, that's roughly okay. Okay, so now I've got my scale down. It's really important that once you make a scale, stick to that scale. This is roughly the same throughout. A little bit off here, but that's okay. All right, so let's now draw it out. So we're going to put down 5 strokes, 1 stroke for each of these. So 3, about there. 4.5, about there. Now we're doing 7, roughly there. 9, about here, and 15, about there. I'm going to use one more colour. Now we're going to box the middle 3, like so, and then whisker to the extremities, which is the lowest and highest scores, like so. Okay, and that's my box and whisker plot for these set of numbers. And remember, so lowest, Q1, Q2, Q3, highest. You can see that this is a lot shorter than this, so obviously this is more of an outlier. This is a fair way away from the rest of this data. Also, if you want, you can make these dots at the end. Doesn't really matter. Okay, question 2. The box plot here represents the results of 80 students in a science test. Please pause and write this down, and we'll go through it. Okay, part A. Find the range of the test results. So remember, range is highest minus lowest, so highest minus lowest. So highest minus lowest. That highest looks to be 95. Lowest, I'd say, is 25. So that's just going to be 70. Okay, median test score part B. Remember, median is Q2. I might just write this down. So lowest, Q1, Q2, Q3, highest. So the median, Q2, this one right here, which is 60. So whether or not this is skewed, doesn't matter. The middle line of your box is always a median, which is always Q2. Part C, interquartile range, IQR. Remember, it's going to be Q3, take away Q1. So this line, take away this line. So that Q3, I'd say, is 75. So 75 take away 40, which is 35. Okay, part D, I'm going to need some space. Do it down here. So how many students had a test mark between 25 and 75? Okay, so 25 is the lowest score, and 75 is Q3. So I might just write this down as well. So we have 25%, 25%, 25%, and 25%. So going from lowest to Q3 is 75% of your data. So we can actually say, so part I, 75%. Then we have to just find 75% of 80. So 80 equals, so 75 on 100 times 80, which is 60 students. So it doesn't matter if this diagram is skewed or not, you always have 25% between L and Q1, 25% between Q1 and Q2, 25% between 2 and 3, and 25% between 3 and H. So H is highest, L is lowest. Okay, now part 2. Okay, 40 and 60, going from Q1 to Q2, which is just 25% of scores. So 25% of 80, 25 on 100 times 80, which is 20 students. Interesting. 75%, 25% is 100, 60 plus 20 is 80. So obviously makes sense. 100% of students is 80 students, which of course is 80 students. Then part A. So more than 75. Well, 75 is Q3. So above Q3 is just from Q3 to the highest, which is 25%. So it's just going to be 25%. Okay. And that will do it for today's lesson. Here's some work here. Again, more year 10 stuff. Here it is here. Okay, so have a go, and I'll see you in the next lesson.